What's up, everyone, and welcome into episode number 569, where it is my honor and privilege to introduce a special guest joining this episode, and that is someone from Michigan but plays rugby at Army, Nolan Greenwood. How are you doing, Nolan? Thanks so much for joining.
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me, sir.
So, how's things been going for you guys over at Army? I know you're really excited for your game this upcoming weekend on Saturday against Navy.
Yeah, we're kind of in that final push of the season. We started practices back in I think August, and then had a
Okay.
little time off over the winter. So this is like the big culminating event at the end of our season. So it's been a long run, but the boys are pretty fired up and ready to get down there. This is the quarterfinal match we're heading into right now.
Does it feel like it's been as long as you've been practicing since August, or does it feel like the season go by pretty quickly for the most part?
It feels like they go by quickly in a vacuum, and
Okay.
then you look back, and you look at all the bumps and bruises you've got, and it's like, oh man, I've been doing this for a minute.
Yeah.
Um, that was something I definitely wasn't expecting getting into rugby. The 2 seasons, in the fall and in the spring, um, it's a lot longer than something like football.
Yeah, because obviously, like you mentioned, you have 2 seasons, and obviously, coming from a football background, you're used to physicality, but it's probably a little bit of a different kind of physicality compared to what you had when you were playing football in high school.
100%, yeah.
Which is a good thing, right? It's obviously different, but that means towards the end of the season, obviously heading into the quarterfinals, there's probably no one necessarily 100%, but that's okay because, again, Navy is probably not 100% either.
That's very true.
So, how are you feeling going into the quarterfinals matchup against Navy? Obviously, your guys' rival, you fell a little bit short to them earlier this season, 21-16. So, there's obviously a little bit of motivation there going into it, and especially continuing on your playoff push if you do it.
Yeah, when we played them in the fall, we had them, we were winning for the first 75 minutes, give or take. Uh, and they ran away with it in the last five. And so we feel like we kind of got away from our process and our model of rugby. And so the focus this whole playoff season, and especially in this game, is sticking to our system and sticking to what we know how to do. Um, really focusing on our best as
Okay.
opposed to trying to beat Navy.
So basically playing your guys' game, your system, compared to really trying to kind of organize it around what they do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Going into this game, do you really need kind of that extra motivation from earlier in the fall, or is it more of just like you have all the motivation, you have all the, I don't want to say excitement, but all the a little bit dislike towards the other team?
Yeah. So what you might not know about me, sir, is I was actually born in Cincinnati and lived there the first 7 years of my life. So I'm a
Okay,
big Ohio sports fan. The Bengals, obviously Ohio State.
yeah,
And so not the biggest fan of the Michigan Wolverines.
yeah.
But I would say the Navy midshipmen fall below them on my totem pole. So there's
Okay.
not really any need for extra motivation. I think that goes for most people here. So we're
Yeah.
pretty fired up.
Comparing Army versus Navy, talk about why it's the best rivalry in sports and how it even compares to obviously growing up in Cincinnati being an Ohio State fan compared to the Ohio State Michigan rivalry. Is it anywhere even close to it in your opinion, or is this just so far beyond what that would ever be?
I think I think it's pretty comparable, but the big way
Okay.
that it differs is it's almost like a sibling rivalry
Yeah.
because everybody knows that at the end of the day, once we graduate from this place, we're going to be working together. And
Yeah.
so at the end of the day, we're going to have to be teammates and we're going to have to be friends and get along. But in the moment, we're just trying to outdo one another in everything possible.
Yeah. You want to be the team that sings second. right? Like that's something that is always talked about is if you
Sure.
want to be this team that sings second, it feels so much better being that than obviously being the team that loses has to sing first and also getting an opportunity to play them in the playoffs, right? Like this would be so much more rewarding in my opinion if you guys are able to get the win to beat them in playoffs than maybe what it was like in the fall, which I'm sure probably hurt. But like if this game goes your way, it probably would feel a little bit better if I would have to assume.
I would agree.
Awesome, love that. I know you're currently a junior on the team, but before your freshman year, your second semester of freshman year, you never played rugby at all. Obviously, we talked a little bit about your football background, baseball background as well. Maybe football kind of helps a little bit more of that transition than what baseball would. But how did you end up finding your way into joining the rugby team at Army? I know you have to technically play a sport, play a club, do something, but like, was that football background a big part of kind of finding that way into rugby?
I would say so. The rugby team actually takes a lot of the scraps of the football team here.
Okay.
Guys that get cut will pretty frequently come down to the rugby pitch. But no, I didn't play any um like club or competitive sport my first semester. I just did intramurals. Um, but I had a couple buddies that had tried out for the rugby team in the fall. And they were trying to get me to come. And I also had a couple buddies who were planning on trying out in the winter. Um, and so I really just tagged along and had no idea what I was getting myself into, and just
Okay.
showed up on the first day of tryouts, and it's gone from there.
Did it take a little convincing to get you to go, or were you more like, hey, like it's an opportunity to play with my friends, why not?
More of the second. I really missed the
Okay.
competition of like of sports.
Yeah.
And so I was eager to make a team, and the fact that my friends were also on it was just more of an incentive.
Yeah, because it's different. Once you start playing kind of competitive sports, when you kind of go into intramural sports, there's not really kind of that drive. There's not really that competition. So it truly makes sense of kind of having that little missing of that feeling. And I'm sure rugby, especially that first day of tryouts, probably gave you at least a little bit of that feeling back. And once you get that feeling back, it's probably something you never want to give up.
100%, sir.
So, what was that first tryout day like? Just joining a sport you've never experienced, never really done. I don't even know if you watched it very much prior to that point.
Yeah. Uh, so I like I mentioned, I had no idea what I was doing. And so we showed up, and the coaches showed us probably like a 30-minute little clip of how to play, what the different positions are, kind of divvied us up by positions, like, oh, you're probably going to be a prop, or you're probably going to be a winger. Um, and so they gave us a brief little introduction, and then we're like, all right, we're going to start playing. And one of my good friends, Dakota Wagner, who used to be a fullback on the football team,
Okay.
was trying out with me. And at the end of the tryout, we had like a live session, like a pretty much playing a game.
Yeah.
And my forehead found his knee, and I got concussed before even being on the team. Uh, I remember laying in bed that night with an ice pack on my head, and one of the rugby players in my company ran in and was like, "You made the team," and was congratulating me. I was like, "Oh man."
Was there any like, what did I get myself into when you heard that news, especially coming off of getting a concussion earlier that day?
Yeah, I'd say so. Because I think you got to be a little crazy to want to play rugby. It's football without pads, more or less. So
Yeah.
you can imagine probably how that feels.
Yeah, no, it obviously is very physical. I'm sure, like you specifically mentioned, like there's a real possibility of getting hurt. Obviously, tackling probably hurts all the time. But the one thing about rugby that is really fascinating, in my opinion, is just the different positions that they are, and just kind of the different roles that they have. And I know you play a winger How did you find your way to winger? Was that something that they kind of like put you in like for that tryout? Was it something that you eventually kind of found your way to? Because for winger, you really have to be not only really like fast, it's actually one of the quote unquote like fastest people play that position, but you also have to be very agile as well.
Yeah, I remember during the tryout, that's kind of just where I made my way out to because I was a skill position player in football, so figured that's probably where I fit best, and I like to think I'm fast, um, regardless of what my dad says, and so I found my way out to the wing, and after I made the team, the first position I started playing was center, um,
Okay.
but then got moved to the wing as different guys made the team and there were moves in the depth chart. And so that's where I've been more or less for the last couple of years, but I've also jumped back and forth between wing and center. They're pretty interchangeable.
Okay. I was going to put you on the hot seat real quick. Which one do you like more? Do you like center a little bit more? Do you like winger a little bit more? Because they're kind of interchangeable. They're really kind of pretty similar.
I like wing more. I like getting the
Okay.
ball on the edge and just being able to go.
Yeah, because wing, obviously you're on the edge, but it's a lot of like one-on-one opportunities, especially when you have possession. Like wingers, you're kind of the guys that typically make the try, right? Like you're kind of the guys that score a lot, but then also when the other team has possession, you're kind of the guy that needs to set the line of defense as well. There's just so much that goes into playing the winger position. It has to be fun, but also has to be a ton of responsibility as well.
It can feel like that sometimes. It's hopeful when you got 14 other dudes on the field that all know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Uh, we talk about it all the time. There's every play, somebody's having a weak phase. Like they might be checked out, but I mean, that's what happens when you're in the 79th minute of a rugby match. And so you gotta be there for one another.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And when there's so many guys on the field, there's 15 guys that play at once. How important is communication when it comes to not only like the start of the game, trying to do what you guys do, but like throughout the game as well? Because you truly have to be on the same like wavelength throughout the game if you want to be able to execute what you want to be able to do. And if there's not that communication, I'm sure it probably leads to a try for the other team pretty easily.
Yeah, you're asking all the right questions, sir. Communication is like one of the biggest things on the field. Every phase you've got to be connecting with the dudes left and right, and you're trying to, get on the same page. Whether it's defense, you're, trying to work through how to defend it, or on offense, attacking, trying to find space to kick the ball. Uh, so yeah, to your point, it's one of the most important aspects of the game. It's something that we really try and focus on.
Yeah, and I also think that kind of applies to schooling as well. Like at West Point, being able to truly work with a ton of people, being quote unquote like leaders in the future, being officers of the future, you need to be able to communicate. You need to be a person, a leader. Like that's probably something that obviously like you learn in school, but it's probably a little bit of a fun way of learning it on the pitch as well in rugby.
Yeah, there's some statistic that floats around somewhere. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's that Army rugby players are three times as likely to make general. And
Okay.
I think that it kind of applies just because a rugby match is trying to find cohesion in a whole lot of chaos.
Yeah.
Um, and so to your point, your communication skills, your critical thinking skills are put under pressure and yeah, it's kind of like the furnace that melts everything together and the crucible, so to say.
Yeah, because like you said, it's chaotic, right? Like there's so much going on, there's so much communication, there's so many people on the pitch at the same time, and trying to learn a new sport can be really difficult, especially when there's just so much going on. There's so many different positions. How long did it take you to feel like comfortable doing like your job, like trying to learn all this when there's just so much chaos, so much physicality, just so much going on at once?
I think that uh, that comfort on a rugby pitch is a continuously moving target.
Okay.
Because what may seem very uncomfortable at one phase in your rugby career, uh, may be natural as you've kind of learn the sport. But then once you reach that point, there's a whole new level of stuff that you're kind of striving for and aiming for. So,
Yeah,
I mean, the first semester I was on the team, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and I was like, I would like to know what penalty is being called. Uh,
yeah.
Now I might know the penalties, but there's different strategic levels to the game that now I'm trying to figure out. Now I'm trying to kind of pursue.
So basically, it's a sport that you're learning every step of the way. Like you're continuing to grow in knowledge, continuing to learn what you need to do, but also continuing to really kind of get in depth because there's just so much that you can go into, so much you can learn, so much that you can really do on the rugby field.
100%.
Which is great, right? Like, it obviously makes it fun. It makes it entertaining. Also for you as well. Like, especially when you have like a long day of school, I'm sure it's probably fun to maybe get a little bit that frustration out on the pitch as well. Like, get a little bit of physicality, get a little bit of just time with your brothers.
100% to that as well. Yeah. Uh, we talk about a lot. The rugby pitch is in like the furthest corner of the West Point post, down a hill and like off on the side of the river. And so we say like leave the day up top, like leave it up top at the academic buildings and all that. And like when you come to the pitch, it's like a fresh day, a fresh start. You can
Yeah.
leave all that behind and get some emotions out sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely love that. Is that hard to do though? Especially when you just have so much going on, like when it comes to the academic side of things, when it comes to the training side of things, but then you also have expectations to perform on the field as well.
Definitely. And I think that's kind of what makes it special, or it makes our team special at least, is uh there's there's a pretty hefty toll placed on us academically and just like with extracurriculars outside of just academics. Um, and so on those rough days, uh, when leaving things up top, it's a little tougher. That's
Yeah,
when you really just have to lean on the dudes to your left and right, kind of like what I was talking about before with communication. Everybody's going to have a weak phase. Everybody's going to have a weak day,
yeah.
and you just have to be aware, know your brothers, know when there might be something going on or they might be off, and just take care of them as best you can.
Exactly, because everyone goes through rough days, right? Like everyone goes through difficult days. Everyone goes through a different schedule, but at the same time, like everyone probably as a junior, like you're probably a little bit used to or like have understood like maybe what the plebes are going through, what like the sophomores are going through. Like it's just about being there for everyone on the team through those difficult times and obviously it hits people at different times, but that's truly probably what makes the brotherhood at West Point at Army really special and really the service academies overall special as well is because you guys go through so much. You can truly lean on each other through the good days and through the bad days.
Yeah, and it's also cool. A lot of like old graduates will come back and talk to the team and just give us advice. It's like even West Point hasn't changed much since it's become a institution, and
Yeah.
so I mean even they know what we're going through. Uh, and so not just having people here to lean on, but people who've had storied Army careers that know exactly what you're going through and can give you advice and can relate to you is pretty sweet.
Yeah, and that makes it easy to come together as a group. Just talk about what the team chemistry is like. Talk about what it truly means to be a brotherhood on the rugby team.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of teams have kind of started to adopt the the brotherhood, so to say. But I think we're the brotherhood above all brotherhoods. Uh, because like I said, we've got dudes that'll come back and tell us stories when they were cadets. Most of our funding comes from uh like the West Point uh Rugby Association,
Okay.
and like parents and old grads and stuff like that, who just have like this love for the program that they just pour out.
Yeah.
And maybe not above all that, but something else that we do is once you've been on the team for 5 semesters, you have the opportunity to get this tattoo uh, which says it's a line from King Henry VIII. For he today who sheds his blood shall be my brother.
Okay,
Um,
that's awesome.
with a rugby ball with a knife going through it. It's pretty cool. Uh, but even just like stuff like that, most of the dudes, like when we hang out with each other, we're just hanging out with the other rugby boys, getting into trouble together sometimes. Uh, so yeah,
Do you have the tattoo or you plan on getting it if you don't have it yet?
I'm planning on getting it this semester. This is my fifth semester right now, so I'm gonna
Okay.
probably get it in May.
Love it. It's again one of those opportunities to come together as a group, knowing just the amount of time you not only put in the school but put on the team. Obviously, your blood, sweat, tears, all that kind of stuff. Like you have to earn it. And once you earn it, it's probably a little bit of a badge of honor.
A little bit, yeah. And there's a documentary that came out about the team last fall,
Okay.
and they had the guy who originally designed the tattoo in it, and it was cool seeing like that made it into a documentary. And I don't know, somebody out there someday might see the tattoo and be like, "Oh, that's the rugby tattoo."
Yeah.
And that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it kind of brings a little bit of a sense of pride into what you guys do, into the amount of hours that you guys put in, and really have that connection with every single person that has come before you and every single person that comes after you that gets that tattoo that plays rugby at Army. It's about having that connection. You talk about really the funding, like the support that you guys get. It's something that started from the very beginning, and it's something that continues to this very day,
Yeah.
which is different than other schools, right? Like you talked about brotherhood, and like other teams are talking about brotherhood, but like your brotherhood is a little bit maybe above because like you have things like transfer portal, you have things like NIL, and obviously rugby maybe isn't as big of a sport compared to like football. Like people aren't talking about necessarily that stuff when it comes to rugby, but like at West Point at Army, you guys don't have that. You have to truly buy into the culture. You have to buy into the team, and because of that, it truly does form that brotherhood of that you guys are going to be surrounded by the same people throughout the whole process.
And that's like I was saying about Navy earlier. Once we graduate, we got to go be teammates with them. It's like I'm teammates with these boys now on the rugby team, but once we all graduate, we'll be teammates in the Army, which is a
Yeah.
way bigger honor and a way bigger.
Yeah, which probably means a lot to you, right? Like that's part of what you sign up when you go to West Point. Like you sign up for more than just the academics. You sign up for more than just a sport. You sign up to serve your country. And it obviously it is something that not everyone does, but it's, again, something that you sign up when you go to a school like West Point. You also get a great overall education as well if we want to talk about the education part of it, but it just really forms you into obviously a leader of the future.
Yeah, leadership is the big thing here. One of my old officer mentors uh, told us something along the lines of like, West Point is a factory, and like you guys aren't the consumers, you guys aren't the ones coming here to like grow. Like you guys are the product. Your job here is to develop into a leader that's good enough to go, lead in the army.
And how has not only the school helped you become a leader, but how has playing rugby helped you as well?
I think it goes hand in hand with what I was mentioning earlier, where it puts your skills under pressure. It puts your athletic skills under pressure, but also your critical thinking skills, uh, and your leadership skills, especially. Um, a big thing in rugby is the team captain is the only one that talks to the ref. And so if you're the captain, or the vice captain, usually there's either the captain will be in one position group, the vice captain will be in another position group. But like you're the leader on the field and the guys are looking to you
Yeah.
for guidance and like for what to do next. And so being in those positions, one is stressful, but
Oh, yeah.
then everybody else on the field is also a leader in individual moments. Uh, you're the one with the ball. I mean, you're you're the leader offensively. So while
Yeah.
somebody else might be trying to set up the next phase, you've got to take care of the ball and you've got to get us through this phase. So yeah,
Yeah, it's just obviously different people do different things, but like when you have the ball, you need to make a player, you need to get to the next person, and eventually, hopefully, end up scoring a try, and hopefully, obviously, leading to a win, which I know is exactly what you guys want to do on Saturday.
yes, sir.
So, going to put you on the hot seat again, real quick, before we start to wrap up. As a winger, what's a better feeling, scoring a try or making a great one-on-one tackle when the other team has possession?
So in our system, the wing is a heavy defensive position. You're the
Okay.
one calling the line speed, so you're basically telling the defense what to do every phase. And then every phase, especially if they play it out wide, you've got to make the decision. Can I cut the ball off? Like, can I get to the dude with the ball, or do I need to back off and like give my teammates time and space to come across so that we can kind of like basketball defense this and corner them and then all tackle them together?
Okay.
So when you get those moments when you get off the line and you look up and you see the ball coming through the air and you're like, oh, I get to smoke this guy.
Yeah.
That's that's probably one of the best feelings for me.
It's almost like you know exactly what's going to happen, and maybe the other guy doesn't know exactly what's going to happen, and just that
Yep.
hit, just that shoulder right into the other guy's chest probably feels even maybe better than what it would on the football field, or maybe feels like a linebacker, like a safety coming downhill on a football field and just absolutely blowing someone up.
Now that you mentioned that, before every game, I watch the Brian Dawkins Weapon X
Do you
highlight tape
really?
to get me fired up. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just going to say that is some insane tape. If you want to talk about hard hitting, just watch that. Honestly, it's probably hitting that is would be
Best in the business.
penalized nowadays. Maybe not on the rugby field, maybe on the rugby field, but definitely in the NFL now.
Yeah, the NFL's starting to go soft, but that's another
Yeah,
discussion.
Yeah, I was just going to say we could probably go another 30 plus minutes on that, but you can't be soft in rugby. You can't be afraid to hit. You can't be afraid to tackle in rugby. I'm sure if anyone ever is, they probably find out pretty quickly, hey, maybe this sport isn't necessarily for me.
I would agree with that. Yes, sir.
So you did mention you played a skill position in football. Did you play much defense in football, or were you more on like the offensive side of the field?
Was more offensive.
Okay.
I played outside linebacker and dipped my toes in the water of defensive end, but I was mainly an offensive player.
Okay. I was just going to say, when you mentioned that you played a little bit in outside linebacker, I'm like, I can kind of see it now. I can see why you enjoy hitting those outside linebackers, defensive ends. Definitely enjoy hitting quite a bit. You can't be afraid to hit, especially at the outside linebacker position. But yeah, no, really, obviously, really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day. Obviously, before we kind of wrap up here, I do want to ask you, what are you looking forward to the most of the next year and a half that you are at West Point?
I mean, I'm looking forward to rugby. I'm looking forward to school. I'm looking forward to seeing the development of some of the younger guys. We've got a really strong freshman and sophomore class right now. We're really starting to hit their own stride. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how they do. Uh, to the seniors and the other juniors, the seniors will be off going into the Army. So I'm excited to see what they do out of their first duty stations. And the juniors are obviously stepping up into a big leadership role, being the seniors on the team. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how we can maintain the culture, how we can improve it, and how we can hopefully lead these boys to a national championship.
Is it weird knowing that you'll be a senior next year, that next year this will be the last time you ever play rugby at West Point?
It's a little surreal, but I don't know. Time's flown.
Yeah.
So it is surreal.
Yeah. But as of right now, the most important thing is winning on Saturday. having an opportunity to go to the semifinals, having an opportunity to possibly win the national championship this year, maybe next year as well. But really do appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to join. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to your team on Saturday. Hope you guys are able to play well. Hope you guys are able to bring home a victory and another game closer to a possible national championship to bring back to West Point.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you having me. This was an awesome opportunity.
Absolutely, and really appreciate you for being able to join. One thing I always say to anyone that ever joins is, if you ever want to come back on, the invite is always there. Would love to have you back on. Maybe after a national championship in the future, possibly. But really appreciate you joining. Obviously, best of luck Saturday. Best of luck in the rest of your time at Army. Best of luck in the rest of your time playing rugby as well. And yeah, that is a wrap to episode number 569. Thank you again to Nolan for joining, and tune in to the next episode.